through. There are moments in your life when you feel like everything is falling apart, when the waiting is long, the pain is heavy, and the silence of heaven feels unbearable. But hear me now, God's timing is never late. It may not come when you want it, but when it comes, it will make you cry not from sorrow, but from awe at how perfectly He arranged it all. My friend, you may be standing in a season of delay. You've prayed, you've believed, and still nothing seems to move through. The door remains shut, the answer doesn't come, and your heart whispers, "Has God forgotten me?" But let me tell you, the silence of God does not mean the absence of God. He is working behind the scenes, setting up something greater than you imagine. Every tear you've cried, every lonely night, every disappointment, it's all part of His divine preparation. When Joseph was in prison, it looked like the end. When Daniel was in the lion's den, it looked hopeless. When Jesus hung on the cross, it looked like defeat. But God turned each of those moments into victory. His plan never fails, His purpose never dies through. What looked like a delay was a setup for destiny. What looked like rejection was actually redirection. And what looked like an ending was the beginning of a miracle. So don't despise your waiting season. Don't curse the slow process. God is shaping your heart, refining your faith, and preparing your character for what's ahead through. If He gave it to you too soon, you wouldn't be ready. If He opened the door before you could handle it, it might destroy you. But when His time comes, when the appointed hour arrives, the blessing will fit perfectly. No struggle, no confusion, no delay, just divine alignment. Some of you have been crying, "Lord, when? When will it happen for me?" And God whispers back, "Trust me." You see, His clock doesn't run on human time. We live by minutes and hours, but God moves by seasons and purpose. You may think He's forgotten your prayer, but He hasn't. He's aligning people, moving hearts, and arranging circumstances in ways you can't see. He's not punishing you with waiting. He's protecting your promise until it's ready to bloom. And when it finally happens, when that door opens, when the answer comes, when that long-awaited prayer is fulfilled, you'll fall to your knees and weep. Not because of the pain, but because of the beauty of His timing. You'll realize that every second of waiting was worth it, that every heartbreak was a lesson, that every delay was a gift in disguise. God's timing will make you cry, not because it took so long, but because it came so perfectly. So keep your faith alive, keep trusting when it hurts, keep walking when you can't see the road ahead, for soon you'll see that the same God who seemed silent was never still. He was orchestrating your miracle all along. When His moment comes, it won't just change your situation, it will change you. The tears of waiting will turn into tears of worship. The pain of delay will turn into the joy of destiny, and you'll lift your hands and say, "Lord, you were right on time." There are times in life when it feels as if heaven has gone quiet. You pray, but there's no answer. You cry out, but the silence grows heavier. You wonder if God even hears you or if He's turned His face away. Yet in that silence, something holy is happening. The absence you feel is not the absence of His presence, it's the presence of His purpose. God is never absent. He is always working, even when you cannot see His hand. Just because you can't trace Him doesn't mean you can't trust Him. Faith is not built in the noise of miracles. It's built in the quiet where you learn to believe without seeing. Think about the moments in Scripture when it seemed God was silent. When Joseph was in the pit, when Moses was in the wilderness, when Jesus was in the tomb, heaven appeared silent. But during those silent seasons, God was writing the next chapter. The silence was not punishment, it was preparation. The waiting was not a delay, it was divine design. He was putting everything in order, moving people, shaping hearts, and positioning circumstances to fulfill His promise at just the right moment. The silence of God is never empty. It's full of unseen activity, full of love, full of purpose. Sometimes God hides His hand so you can seek His heart. If He answered too quickly, you might settle for the gift and forget the giver. The silence forces you to press in deeper, to surrender your will, to depend not on your understanding but on His. You begin to discover that faith is not about hearing God's voice every day. It's about trusting His character even when you don't. His silence is His way of saying, "Child, trust me even when I'm quiet. I haven't forgotten you. I'm fighting for you." The truth is, God is never inactive. While you're waiting, He's working. While you're crying, He's comforting. While you're doubting, He's delivering. His timing may feel slow, but He's aligning everything for your good. He sees what you can't see, and He knows what you don't know. Sometimes what feels like a no is really a not yet. Sometimes what feels like abandonment is actually protection. He withholds certain things not because He doesn't love you, but because He loves you too much to give them before you're ready. Through. If you could see what God is preparing behind the curtain of silence, you would never doubt Him again. Every unanswered prayer is a seed planted in the soil of faith. It may look buried, but it's not dead. It's growing roots for a miracle that will bloom in His perfect time. So hold on when heaven is quiet. Keep believing when your heart feels heavy. God's silence is not His absence, it's His strategy. And one day you'll look back and realize that while you were waiting, He was working on the greatest chapter of your life. Through waiting is never easy. It tests your patience, your faith, and your endurance. Yet every delay in life has a divine purpose. God does not make you wait to punish you. He makes you wait to prepare you. What you're praying for is not being denied, it's being developed. The longer it takes, the more complete His work becomes in you. Waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. They are the times when God shapes your spirit, molds your heart, and strengthens your faith for what's coming. When a seed is planted in the ground, it doesn't grow instantly. It needs time, darkness, and pressure before it breaks through the soil. The same is true for you. The promise God placed inside you needs time to grow strong roots. If He gave you what you wanted too soon, it might crush you instead of bless you. God loves you too much to deliver something that you aren't ready to handle. So He takes His time, He refines you, purifies your motives, and teaches you how to rely on Him completely. It's in the waiting that faith becomes real. It's where your dependence on God deepens and your character is refined. Look at the lives of those who came before us. Abraham waited decades for his promised son. David waited years between being anointed as king and sitting on the throne. Even Jesus waited 30 years before beginning His ministry. Each one had to endure a season of preparation before stepping into purpose. God uses waiting to teach us obedience, humility, and endurance. Without those qualities, the blessing can't be sustained. The delay isn't a denial, it's a divine classroom where you learn lessons that success alone could never teach. In your waiting, God is pruning away the things that would hinder your destiny. He's teaching you to trust Him, not the timing. You may feel forgotten, but He has you hidden. When a diamond is being formed, it spends years under pressure deep within the earth. Nobody sees it, but it's being shaped into something priceless. That's what God is doing with you. The waiting is not a void, it's a forge. Every disappointment, every closed door, every unanswered prayer is shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of His promise with grace and strength. So don't grow bitter in the waiting. Don't lose heart when the process feels long. Instead, thank God for the preparation, because what He's building in you is greater than what you're asking for. When the waiting season ends and His promise finally comes to pass, you'll understand why it took so long. You'll see that the lessons, the tears, or in the faith you developed were the true blessings all along. The waiting is not wasted, it's the workshop of destiny, where God is crafting a masterpiece out of your patience and faith. When His appointed time arrives, everything you endured will make sense, and you'll realize that the waiting was worth every second. When God's timing arrives, everything begins to fall into place in ways that no human hand could arrange. What once seemed confusing and delayed suddenly makes perfect sense. Doors that refuse to open swing wide effortlessly. People who once walked away are replaced by those who were meant to stand beside you. This is what divine alignment looks like. It's not forced, it's not manipulated, it's not rushed. It's a flow of grace, a moment when heaven and earth meet in perfect harmony. God's timing brings perfect alignment, and when it comes, you will know that it wasn't luck or coincidence. It was the hand of God. There are seasons when you try to make things happen on your own. You push, you plan, you strive, and yet nothing seems to work. That's because when something is outside God's timing, no amount of effort can make it succeed. But when you're in His time, you won't have to fight so hard. The same things that once resisted you will start to cooperate with you. The same walls that once blocked your path will crumble before you. God's favor will go before you and prepare the way. Everything that was once tangled and confusing will begin to line up in divine order. Think about a puzzle. When you're missing pieces or forcing them into the wrong places, the picture doesn't make sense. But once every piece is where it's meant to be, you see the full image clearly. That's how God works in your life. You may only see fragments right now, scattered and incomplete, but He sees the full picture. He knows which piece goes where and when to place it. When His timing comes, every part of your life, your past pain, your unanswered prayers, through your hidden efforts, will fit together perfectly to reveal the masterpiece He's been creating all along. When God aligns your life with His plan, there's peace. Not because everything is easy, but because you know you're exactly where you're meant to be. His timing carries His presence, and His presence brings assurance. You stop worrying about what's next and start resting in what is. The same path that once seemed uncertain now feels guided. The same dreams that once felt impossible suddenly begin to unfold before your eyes. This is the beauty of divine timing. It brings clarity where there was confusion and calm where there was chaos. So if right now it feels like things are out of order, don't panic. For God is aligning everything behind the scenes. He's moving people, shifting circumstances, and preparing your steps. What looks like delay is really synchronization. He's not just preparing the blessing for you, He's preparing you for the blessing. And when His moment comes, it won't just be right, it will be perfect. The peace you feel through the timing of the opportunity, the flow of events, it will all testify that God was in control the entire time. His alignment is flawless, and when it comes, you'll stand in awe through knowing it could only have been Him. When God's promise finally comes to pass, it will be so beautiful, so unexpected, and so perfectly timed that it will bring tears to your eyes. Not tears of pain or frustration, but tears of awe. Tears that flow when you realize how deeply God cared for you all along. The moment you see how everything was orchestrated, through how every delay had purpose and how every disappointment led to this divine fulfillment, your heart will overflow with gratitude. You'll fall to your knees and whisper, "Lord, you were right all the time." There's something powerful about the way God fulfills His promises. He doesn't just answer prayers, He answers them in ways that exceed human imagination. You might have asked for a small blessing, but He was preparing something much bigger. You might have been praying for one open door, but He was designing an entire pathway. When His plan finally unfolds, it will take your breath away. You'll realize that the years of waiting weren't wasted. They were sacred. Every tear you cried was watering the ground where your miracle would grow. In that moment of fulfillment, you'll see that God never forgot a single detail. The people you lost, through the opportunities that slipped away, the nights you questioned everything, all of it had a reason. He used each moment to guide you closer to His will. You'll begin to understand that if He had given you what you wanted when you wanted it, it wouldn't have carried the same meaning or power. The waiting built your faith, the pain deepened your trust. The struggle made you ready for the blessing, and when it comes, it won't just change your life, it will change your heart. You'll cry because you'll see how gentle God was, even when you didn't see it. You'll cry because you'll remember how close you were to giving up, yet He carried you through. You'll cry because you'll realize that the very thing that once broke you was the thing that prepared you. The fulfillment will be more than an answered prayer. It will be a revelation of God's love and faithfulness. His timing will bring you to a place of worship, not because of the blessing itself, but because of the way He delivered it so perfectly, so personally, so powerfully. And once you experience it, you'll no longer fear the waiting seasons of life. You'll trust His process because you'll have tasted the sweetness of His perfect timing. The tears of joy you shed in that moment will be your testimony that God's promises never fail, that His timing is always right, and that He truly works all things together for good. One day soon, what you prayed for in tears will return to you in triumph. The same God who watched you cry in the waiting will make you cry again in wonder. When His promise finally arrives and you see the beauty of His perfect timing unfold before your eyes,